What is up, everybody? This is Lyle, No Hippie Trucking and Transportation. I am coming at you from the Petro in Albert Lea, Minnesota. If you watched my last video, I had said that the road conditions were so bad that I stopped 5 miles short of this truck stop just because the conditions were that bad. So I was stopped at a weigh station, and shortly after I stopped there was a salt truck that came by and dumped a little bit of salt and a little bit of that brine. So I figured the roads got a little bit wet, so I decided to come down here to this Petro, and it was still a little bit sketchy, just not quite what it was before. You know, I had a question from somebody that asked me, when did I know it was time to shut down? Now, this is the first time this has happened to me. This is the first time I've shut down due to weather. I mean, I've stopped when I didn't want to deal with the weather and I had time on a load, but there's never been a time that I was in jeopardy of missing a drop off or pickup because of weather until today. And how did I know I was in trouble? I knew I was in trouble when probably about 25 miles out before I stopped. It didn't become obvious until maybe about my last 10 miles. And I knew I was in trouble when I'm driving and I'm going about 25 miles an hour and the traction control on the truck started going off like it wasn't getting traction. That's when I knew that it was like slicker than I thought it was. And the roads weren't obviously slick. They almost looked dry, you know, but that thin, super thin layer of ice that was on it was very misleading on that. So once I started seeing that is when I decided it was time to shut down. Now, I knew there was a Casey's, which I had just passed when this had happened because I'd stayed there the night before. I knew there was this weigh station coming up, and then I knew that there was this truck stop, but I was still kind of rationalizing it in my head that maybe things are going to be better when I get on 90. You know, so I was almost gonna get on 90, see how the roads were there, and then if things were bad, kind of shut down. I knew there was going to be some truck stops, probably within 15, 20 miles on the 90, shut down there. Well, soon after that, there was a truck that was stalled, or not stalled, but couldn't make it up the highway because it was just that slick, and I was stuck behind them, and I almost got stuck. So that was a clear sign as well. Soon after I got past that truck, you know, there was the jackknife that happened about a half a mile in front of me, which when I was changing lanes, and it was a very casual lane change. It wasn't like I jerked the wheel or anything like that, but as soon as I went to change that lane, that trailer got from under me, and that's when I knew it was like imperative that I shut down. And I can almost, you know, if I was a betting man, I would say that the chances of me, if I continue driving, of getting in an accident empty was going to be damn near close to 100%. I mean, it is that bad out here. I have never been in road conditions this bad. I don't look to travel across Wyoming and all that stuff, but I have in the winter. Nothing near like this have I seen in Wyoming. The last time I almost jackknifed, I was in, forget if it was Montana or North Dakota, South Dakota, but there's, for those of you guys that drive on 90, you know that there's a mountain pass, and it's not that long, but it's a 25 mile an hour speed limit going through there. And I was coming down that mountain one time and started jackknifing, and luckily the traffic behind me noticed what was going on because I centered myself at that point. I didn't even attempt to stay in any certain lane. But that was the last time that I did it. And the difference between that and today was I could almost rationalize that jackknife that happened in that other situation. But today, going under 20 miles an hour, that is a scary feeling. And it is extremely scary when you're looking at the situation and there's nowhere to pull over. You know, it's easy to say pull over, you know, if weather conditions get bad, but sometimes you just don't have an immediate place to pull over, and you definitely can't stop on the side of the road because as many I mean, it was like whistling through the graveyard at some point. You know, trucks on both sides, you know, both sides of the highway, jackknifed in medians, you know, stuff like that. So it's not always as easy as it sounds to pull over, but I finally did get a chance to pull over, collect myself, because I'm gonna tell you, I saw my trucking career flash before my eyes when I started that jackknife. Luckily, I maintained my composure, you know, did what I needed to do, kept, you know, got the trailer straightened out, and made it to my stop. Then I made it up here to this truck stop. But you know, I am very, you know, I have never really been one to, you know, be afraid to drive in, you know, snow or anything like that. But this is a different animal out here, and partially because I am empty. Had I been loaded, it probably would have been a different situation. But it was all I could take to keep that trailer straight. And as soon as I got to this truck stop, right across from this truck stop, exit 11 on I think this is 35, there was an accident. Then 3 miles down the road, exit 8, there was another accident, and that happened all within the first 30 minutes of me being at this truck stop. So you know, just to bring it back around, I knew I was in trouble when I saw the traction control light on my truck going off when I was going under 20 miles an hour. Also, you start seeing other trucks and cars off in ditches and medians and stuff like that. That's another sign. And then I mean, those are the obvious signs, but you know, I am gonna shut it down. I just sent a message to my fleet manager. We'll see if he gets back to me anytime soon, but I said take me off of the board until further notice. You know, there's just really no reason to chance it. You know, I start thinking about what would have happened if I would have went off into that ditch. You know, now you're starting to talk about making truck payments and all this kind of stuff and having no income coming in, and then, you know, it's just not a good situation. So I'd rather play it casual here. I got that money in that emergency fund sitting there for a reason, so I might as well lean on that whenever I need it, and then just play it conservative. You know, I don't really need to be out here in these conditions, and you know, sometimes it's a little bit of pressure that you put on yourself, and maybe even pressure that, you know, it's not necessarily pressure that Prime or fleet managers putting on you in general, but sometimes you just kind of feel that pressure. Sometimes I'm like, you know what, I run some of the things I run not because of me or I need to, but I run it for other people. So in this case, I'm just gonna have to say fuck it, sit my ass down. People I know say they like this Petro out here. If you're not familiar, it's one of them Petro, or it's the Petro in Minnesota that looks like a, I don't know, it looks like a German or Swiss Alps lodge or something like that. So I'm probably just gonna run in here, see what's up in there, and come back here and relax. But I'm not even, I mean, things are gonna have to be a lot better for me to even try to get out of here. I'm not even concerned if I have to sit here like the entire day tomorrow, because I am not going through what I went through today. That was 120 miles of hell, and the last 30 minutes was even worse than that. So if you're out here, keep in mind that you know, it's not anything against Prime, but they will get rid of your ass if you flip one of these trailers over. So keep that in mind while you're out there trying to do your best for a prime. Anyway, I appreciate you stopping by No Hippie Trucking and Transportation as always. Gotta show off them knuckles all moisturized and stuff. Comment, subscribe, I'm out.